Welcome to the After the Show movie podcast, brought to you by your hosts, Ascully and Cidtalk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Welcome, Cidtalk. Welcome to the this week's podcast. How are you?
Welcome. Thank you. I'm fantastic.
This is my favorite time of the week, you know.
This moment right now when you're starting the podcast?
Yes. Because I know I'm going to get into a good conversation with yourself. About a movie that we just saw.
Well, what that sounds like is the whole rest of the week, we don't talk to each other.
We don't. We save it for this exact moment.
We're together pretty much 24 hours a day, so we have a lot. We talk a lot, and movies are often the topic of conversation.
Yeah.
This is a special, so that's nice. It's nice that you look forward to it. I always look forward to movie day because, you know, you just do it. This is not the before the after the show discussion. That was, actually, we weren't talking much. You were looking for your phone.
Yes.
I started at my Sims game, you know.
It was a whole hive of stuff.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better word. So thinking of a better word, let's introduce the podcast. It's Saturday, March the 30th. Happy Easter, Cidtalk. Happy Easter, listeners.
Thanks.
And this is After the Show, number 832. We're a movie review podcast. Every week we look at a new movie. This week we're looking at the movie Roadhouse. It's a 2024 release. Out now on Amazon Prime streaming. It's rated R. And it's from our friends at Amazon who sent us a copy for review. Cidtalk, can you give us the synopsis of the movie Roadhouse?
I'm going to say a dude who's got a lot of violent problems, but he's kind of a philosopher, goes to a place where a lady wants him to protect the bar, and a really big asshole wants to tear down her bar. So we have to stop it. Is that what's on the box?
Well, here it comes. It says ex-UFC fighter Dalton takes a job as a bouncer at a Florida Keys roadhouse, only to discover that this paradise is not all that it seems.
I mean, that's close to what I said.
That is what happens. It's a remake of the when was the original? 1989?
Definitely in the 80s.
Yeah, the Patrick Swayze Roadhouse movie. This is a modernized retelling of it. I said to you, you've never seen the original, right?
I have not, and that's strange. I probably saw...
Very strange.
I don't even think I've seen like 5 minutes of it.
Right. Very strange. You must have been in cryostasis for some of the 80s, on the 90s. Something happened.
It just didn't appeal to me. There are many movies over the course of time. I've never seen Clockwork Orange.
Right.
I know. Blasphemous.
Does that not appeal to you?
It didn't, not because of people saying it was weird, but this sounds crazy because there are many movies I love that are very popular, but once a thing becomes sort of like disgust, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't appeal to me anymore. Now, I'll probably watch it because I've seen a lot of very popular movies, but it just has I've never been like, well, I'm going to watch it now and add my own perspective because at this point,
right,
it doesn't matter, you know? But
well, I have seen the original and I quite enjoyed it, but I never thought, you know, people really it's a beloved movie. I never thought of it that way. I just thought it was a fun action movie for the time. So I don't have that beloved status with Roadhouse. Rest in peace, Sir Patrick of Swayze.
Was he actually a,
What?
Given an MBE or OBE or whatever it is your queen/king people give people?
No. It's just what I like to call him.
I see.
Okay. It's my respect.
I've got it. Got it.
All right, so let's get on to Jake Gyllenhaal in the new Roadhouse. What did you think of it?
Okay, here's the deal. And you know when I start like that, anyone watching it who's, thinking about the actual behaviors of these people will be like, toxic masculinity, right?
Yes.
The guy who's got anger issues has been in a fight. He's a UFC fighter. He's very violent, and he blindly then at some point has done something very bad. And now is the same thing that the Hulk used to say when he was Bruce Banner. You don't want to see me when I'm angry. Like it's your fault when they get mad. And then whatever happens once this man gets mad is no longer his responsibility. So there's that.
Yes.
However, this particular character, he gets it. He knows he sucks. Like, you can feel it. He wants to punish himself. We see him park on the railroad track, right? When a train is coming. So he's aware. And now he's getting pushed just one more time to fight for what's good in the world. And I don't mind that concept, because so did Obi-Wan Kenobi. So did every other good character in Star Wars. So does every other good character fight for what's good in the world against the bad guys, against the villain, against the tyranny, against oppression.
Even John Wick, hey?
Yeah, John Wick. I see, again, I really like John Wick movies. And to answer your question, long way around.
Yeah.
Let me take one last turn over here. I really enjoyed it. And I'm aware of the messaging is confusing. I get that. It's just that it's well made and, it's fiction. So I enjoyed it.
Let me say.
And I'm going to say this. I don't mind looking at Jake Gyllenhaal. There's that.
Me neither. So let's say last week's film, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. After that, anything?
Was that a whole week ago?
That was a week ago. I was on a low after that, movie-wise. I was like, is this where movies have come to? Now, seeing that this was directed by Doug Liman, and I do like a lot of his films, I was thinking, well, maybe he would make a good version of Roadhouse and it would be action-packed and fun. And I think that's what this is. It is action-packed and fun and almost silly. It's almost a comedy, right?
Oh, I don't get that at all.
You didn't get there was like the stoogey bad guys and the
stoogey bad guys, but I assumed whoever is making this was doing that as a throwback in some way.
Yeah.
To the original. And
that made it kind of funny in a way, because it was like watching the Keystone Cops, like Cannonball. What am I saying?
Right, but then Aquaman had dumbness and you didn't like it.
It did, but this kind of movie, the way it's kind of set up at the beginning, I wasn't expecting it to be like silly in a way. Because at the beginning, where we see Post Malone having a fight, and it's kind of grimy and gritty and seems like it's going to be super violent. And then later on, it is pure like cartoon capers almost. I mean, there's a man ramming a speedboat into things and ramming a car into stuff. And
I just took all that very differently. Those are just like little pinpricks of balancing out. What you're going to see is a lot of violence.
There is definitely a lot of violence.
Yeah.
But there's also, I was kind of smiling at points. Maybe that says something about me.
I didn't mind the way the violence was either. So again, I think we are two peas in a pod.
What I really liked about this movie is, I couldn't put a pin on it while I was watching it, is the way that the fight scenes were filmed. Now, I was looking at the fight scenes thinking, there's something special about this. It looks different. I've never seen the camera get in such weird areas, and the camera never seems to look away from people being punched. There's never a cut.
And we've watched a lot of TV and movies in our 50-some years of life. And what we're used to is the rhythm of a fake fight, which is someone, you're looking at someone from a back angle. They swing their arm, and then we cut to the back angle of the person getting hit, and they react by swinging their head or their body, which means there's no actual contact, but the illusion of being hit. This literally looks like it's a real fight happening. I mean, okay, you and I are going to disagree. I thought it looked really CGI, but for some reason I didn't mind it.
I wasn't even thinking CGI. I was thinking, have they got like a special like camera rig that goes all the way around them and each person has one? That's how I thought it was done. And it is done kind of like that, but there's also some CG replacement stuff. But when you're watching it, I don't think even you are going, oh, look, Rubber Man.
A little bit. I was, actually.
Oh, you was?
Yeah, a little bit.
I thought it was actually really flawlessly done. Like
it was sort of like the HD was cranked up as well. So you had sort of that gritty look every time where it's kind of strangely muddy and high contrast at the same time. I don't know how to describe that any better than that, but... And then the fake spit / blood flying ever so slightly and the, flicking off. It looked...
And there's a lot of fighting.
Yeah. So. But again, for some reason, because the movie as a whole, I'm good with it. I just sort of was like, yep, that's the way it is. I'm dealing with it.
Yeah, well, that was the thing I was really enjoying. I was like, this fighting is visceral, just straight from the very first fight. I was like, yeah, this is cool. I can get behind this kind of fighting. And then I didn't really have a problem. The story's really basic. It borrows from the original one, like heavily, but that's fine. It's a remake. It's very basic. It's very... Do you know what it reminded me of? And this is like one of my recommendations this week, is like movies from the 90s that Luc Besson made. Like The Transporter.
Yeah, the troubled guy who has a past.
And it's real basic, the story. Yeah.
He's got a philosophy of whatever it is at this point, you know?
Yeah. So the story's super basic, like in those older movies. But the action is like really visceral and pulls you in, and there's something more to it. Like when you've watched it all, you're like, yeah, that was a cool movie. This is how this felt. It felt like the story was fairly minimal and basic, yet the action and the hyper, like over the top stunts and stuff made it better than what it is, story-wise. Some of the dialogue is off in this movie, I'm afraid. There is some bad, like, delivery. It's not delivery. It's like they're delivering the lines just fine. It's like the lines just kind of suck.
For example?
Stuff that Conor McGregor says.
Oh, well, he's not. He's the worst.
I mean, he's a cartoon character anyway, but like...
He's the worst part of the movie. He's the thing that lowers it down considerably. No offense, Colin, but seriously. You did.
Colin.
Is that his name? What's his name?
Connor.
Sorry, Connor. But yeah, it was my least favorite thing.
But there's also some dialogue from some of the main characters where I was like, the people just really don't talk like that, but okay, we're doing an action movie here.
I felt like it was the opposite. I felt like they kind of relaxed into like how people would talk a little bit. Not the bad guys, because they just seem pretty wooden. The bad guy in the suit who came to the bar to talk to him. I like that conversation. The sheriff, who's the doctor's dad, he's awful. Yeah,
I don't like him much either.
He's awful. He doesn't add anything. Again, I apologize to these people, but it was not great.
But as far as a rollicking action movie, it's got tough guys, it's got fights, it's got some music, it's fun, definitely. Like, I felt Aquaman last week was not fun. It was just a drag, like, it was okay.
It was a drag. What a drag, this superhero movie.
I mean, to be fair, it felt like a drag, right? This did not. I was in with this. I was like, okay.
Felt like a drag, like, I'm getting bored, I want it to be over?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I get you.
And, like, can we just stop, like, doing the one-liners with each other? This movie refrains from one-liners, weirdly.
I mean, when he says this piano is out of tune.
That was one.
That's a one-liner. I have a feeling that must have been the original, because that seemed very standy outy. Because in the fights, you even said during one fight in the boathouse, or in the yacht, sorry, not the boathouse, when he smashed a guy's head into a chessboard, he should have said, checkmate, right?
Yes.
Well, in the bar, when he smashes a guy's head, or someone smashing his head into the piano, he says, this piano's out of tune. So, you know, it had its one-liner.
It didn't go overboard. Excuse the pun, because there's a lot of ship-based action. Ship and boat-based action.
There is, yeah.
Yeah. So let's get on to the cast of this movie. Roadhouse, 2024. Jake Gyllenhaal plays Dalton, a man you like to look at.
I don't mind.
I don't mind. I've got to give him this, Jake. I've listened to him on Howard Stern this week, an interview about this movie. He really put in a year's work to get himself in shape. He was not in this shape to make this movie.
It's not a really, I guess I should clarify. It's not about looking at him, because I'm not and this is no reflection on you, because I love you, all of you, exactly how you are. I'm no
Jake Gyllenhaal.
But it's the muscles and all that shit does nothing for me. Literally zero. It doesn't. It's like I like watching him. I should say that. I like watching him, how he is, regardless of the part. And we've seen him in all different stages of physicality throughout the career. I just like looking at him as in I'm watching him closely, his face and the way he is, the way he moves, the way he settles into things, or if his character's like a psychotic person, he's really into it. I like watching him. That's a better way of saying it.
I think he has a good movie star smile. Whenever he smiles, it's like, $1 million on the screen.
Listen to you.
But I
What are you, an
actually,
agent?
Yeah, exactly. If you want to hire Jake Gyllenhaal, just contact me, Ascully at ascully.com. He's great in this. His physicality was fine. I mean, he's fighting against a true UFC champion, and I didn't feel like it was mismatched. The bodies were, the same-ish. Let's get on to Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor he's not today's UFC champion, but he has been. He's an Irish guy. He's never been in movies before. This is his first one. It's a true cartoonish role.
Yeah.
It's very silly, to be fair. Like when we first meet him, like where he's naked and burning down a thing. Like it's.
I would be fine with that. Like he's just psychotic, but then he's like not good at it. No. Sorry, whatever your name was. I mean, he fits a particular profile exactly. And if you put him in the right situation, but as for being like a real person in what's supposed to be sort of a grounded in reality story, right? Mm-hmm. It'd be like putting him in Ozark, the show, right? There's a lot of wacky shit in that show, but if you put somebody in there like that.
Yeah, it's too wacky.
Yeah, and it's not. I wouldn't say not comfortable to watch, but it lowers it down. I want him to be like psychotic and mean and like gritty about it, not like that's how it seems.
He's like psychotic and silly.
Yeah.
Like Looney Tunes silly.
And while he fights great and he looks great for that, I just wanted a little more
clearly is a good his body looks right and he's a good fighter. He fights like a motherfucker.
Whoa, we got the big F word in there.
And I enjoyed that, but I think he should have maybe just dropped the, there was one scene where he walked into their, compound and then looked around and said, where the fuck is everybody? Do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
What was he doing there? Was he trying to be funny with his arms?
I can't figure it out.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
That scene was I was like, is this like a deleted scene that they just forgot to take out?
Because the only thing that led to was him then showing up randomly. I didn't even understand what that was about.
No. And he was doing like a weird, with his arms out, like he was a robot or something. I don't know. It was very strange.
Yeah,
Yeah. We got Travis Winkle as Dex. Which one was Dex? Oh, Dex.
He was the first bad guy, wasn't he? No, that was Dell.
No, Dex is the guy who in the bar, Jake Gyllenhaal gets his little crew together, I guess.
Oh, one of those young guys.
Yeah,
okay.
the young guy, yeah.
Like a fellow bar, what are they called?
Bouncer?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Post Malone is Carter. Post Malone is not in this movie a lot, even though they did advertise it as though he was in it a lot. There was even a poster with his face on it. He's not. He's in, what?
The first 5 minutes.
Yes. And he does some fighting. It looks cool. And then he's gone.
I like the way he dances around while he was fighting, kind of like he's psychotic too, but he's not one of these guys. He's just doing UFC or
he's
runty,
just a guy.
Illegal fighting for some cash, and he's just a little bit.
I truly would like to see Post Malone do an acting role where he's not just 5 minutes in a movie. I feel like he could do something cool.
Call him up.
I will. Also, I am his manager too.
He will take your calls.
Yes. Daniela Melchior. That's probably wrong, but she plays Ellie, the love interest in this movie. What did you think of her?
I mean, love interest is strong these days, isn't it? Because it wasn't really like that. Like, he kind of kissed her, and then we're going to assume they had sex on that beach, but we don't know. We don't know. We didn't go down that route.
It was a date. They said it was a date.
Right, but we didn't go down that fully, so that's very modern. Like, you kiss, and then there's a little passion, but we're not focused on it. And then they say she's a threat, and he's kind of like, okay. But you don't get the blubbering idiot. He doesn't turn into like, oh, I must save her. And then he doesn't have to end up saving her, really. She kind of saves him, which is also modern. And she was good. She's a doctor. Of course, he ends up meeting her at the hospital because he delivers some of the guys he beats up to the hospital himself. And she's just like a reasonable, tired of all the bullshit. But here's the deal. She's related to one of the bad guys. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I told you it's not a complicated story.
No.
It's got all the tropes you could expect. We've got also Jessica Williams as Frankie. She's the lady who owns the bar. I really liked her.
Oh, I did too. She was really good.
Again, though, she isn't given enough time, I don't think. Once it all starts to kick off, she's not even involved in any of that, is she?
Right. So when you say the story is pretty basic, here's the story. There's a bar. She's the last holdout in this rich asshole buying up all this land to build a big resort. Her uncle bought it in the 60s. She's African American. She makes a point of saying it was a big deal because he was an African American guy in the 60s in the South, buying his own bar, making a success of it. And then everything kind of went downhill. And now she's trying to build it back up again. What she has are these assholes coming and tearing up the place all the time. Well, the assholes are like henchmen for the big bad guy who basically want to scare her off and get her to sell the property. Again, a boring storyline. Then when our Jake Gyllenhaal shows up as Mr. Bouncer extraordinaire, then all of a sudden it escalates from we want to scare her off or get her bought out to we're going to kill him and destroy everything. Like it was like quite a leap there. But that's the idea. We're trying to, like in the Goonies and like thousands of other stories, we're trying to save the family farm. You know what I mean? Like from the big bad guy.
Exactly that.
And that's fine because that's a thing. I grasp that. But that's her role, is to be like the tough, like, screw them. I'm not leaving. And she holds on to that the whole time, even at the end when everything's destroyed.
Yeah, she does.
And people show up. They're like, are you open? And she has like a truck that drove through one side, a boat that flew through into the other side. It's totally torn up. But she's like, yeah, we're always open. I liked her. I liked her a lot.
I did too. But just not enough of her. It could have been more.
Agree.
Yeah. So, directed by Doug Liman, he directed the movie Edge of Tomorrow, or Live, Die, Repeat, if you're awesome movie starring Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I liked it.
He also did Swingers, Go, Jumper, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, The Bourne Identity. The list goes on. He's done a lot of movies in his time. They're not always hits for me, those either. Some are good, some are bad. I love Mr. and Mrs. Smith, though. In the same way that I love this. It was just fun and kind of a little bit goofy. So what do you think of Doug's directing?
I like it. I think that it's a vision. Like we're gonna pay homage to the original. We're going to amp it up a little bit, and then everything else just kind of went, like, standardized, you know? But it looks nice. I don't know if that's down to him, or his cinematographer, or his art director.
Well, he does have a style, like a...
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the scenes are actually put together nice, even when the guy is dying in the pool. That scene looks really nice, like, it's lit really well. The set looks really gnarly, like some shithole old hotel or something that they lived in.
Yeah.
So I'll give the director credit for pulling it all together.
IMDB Reviews, what are those?
Oh, you tell the people what they are.
Okay, on IMDB, which is a movie review website. It's not a movie review website, is it? It's a movie database.
Correct. It's called the Internet Movie Database.
They have reviews every week, and I like to look at the people who really hate a movie, that give it a 1 star, because they're always the most interesting. So here's a selection of 3 people who gave it 1 star. Number 1 says, it's worse than you'd expect. Horrible plot, horrible acting, horrible CGI fighting, the worst movie made in the last decade.
Oh my.
That's it.
Okay.
The second guy says, in fact, I swear to God, these are the same 3 guys every week. The top 3. The second guy said, it's so bad it made me angry. I love the original and thought I'd give this a go. All the old characters are gone. The roadhouse is gone. There's a crocodile in it. And when Connor McLeod, that's not his name, but enters the scene, it gets worse with his ridiculous Irish swagger and cockney accent.
Cockney.
That's it.
Well, I mean, I didn't like him either. So, I'm with this person on that one. A little bit. Just a little bit.
And the last guy says, from start to finish, Roadhouse feels like a paint-by-numbers action flick, relying on tropes and predictable plot twists. The storyline follows a worn-out formula. Everything is flat. It's a prime example of Hollywood's tendency to prioritize profit over creativity, delivering a forgettable film that will leave audiences feeling like they've wasted their time and money. That's it.
My favorite part of those is that what you do.
The whiny ass wipes.
I love it.
All right, so extras, we did not see any. Conclusion, I'm going to give Roadhouse a solid 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to give it like a 7.5.
All right.
Just because I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's fun as an action movie goes.
Yeah.
What more do you want, people?
Fight me on it, people. Come on, fight me.
Yeah.
Or not. It'll be a CGI fight. We won't be touching each other. I promise you.
Thank you to Amazon. Next week, we're going to be looking at the Diablo Cody movie, Lisa Frankenstein. So we'll take a look at that next week. I'm a big fan of Jennifer's Body, so fight me on it. Not Jennifer's Body. Jennifer's Body, the movie.
Don't fight you on Jennifer's body? Okay.
Correct. So, movie recommendations on the theme of Jake Gyllenhaal and action movies. I'm going with Southpaw, which is a movie he did, 10 years ago? Where he was a boxer and he really got into good shape. And I thought that was a really cool... Rachel McAdams was his woman in it, right?
I'm kind of... It's ringing a bell.
I liked it a lot. And the other one is The Transporter with Jason Statham. I was almost expecting Jason Statham to crop up in this movie. I was like, if there's going to be like a tough guy who turns up to beat everybody down, it's going to be Jason, right? But no, he didn't. Maybe the sequel.
Or Keanu.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
What are your recommendations?
Our recommendations are going back to the 20th century, which, if for you don't know, it's the 1900s, from 1900 to 1999.
Yeah.
Because if a lot of people aren't aware, movies are just now about a little over 100 years old. That's all there's ever been.
Yeah. In fact, at the beginning of this movie, the MGM logo said 100 years.
Yeah, as a movie, yeah. And so these are like action/adventure movies from that whole century, 100 years of it. Cool Runnings.
Yeah.
We all love it. The Jamaican bobsledding team. The Muppets. The Muppets, The Holy Grail. Is that what I have? Is that what it's called?
No.
The Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is a whole other movie.
Yeah. That's like, a Monty Python, The Muppets kind of spin-off.
Yeah. A combo.
I saw somebody...
confab.
Talking of The Muppets, and let me bring it back around to Roadhouse. I saw a review, like a legitimate review for this movie, that said, I can't stand Jake Gyllenhaal and his Muppet smile.
What?
I don't know. It just came into my head.
So then we're going on to, after The Holy Grail, we've got Baron Munchausen.
Right.
One of those wacky, also, of that era. The wacky, resistant, no, what are they called? Like Time Bandits and Monty Python, like that kind of flick.
Yeah.
And Stay Tuned, which is an interesting little one, kind of ahead of its time, when you think about it.
Yeah.
You know what it was?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah.
Very good, Cidtalk. Good
Thanks.
Recommendations.
Thanks.
Ascully stuff. I've been playing this week Helldivers 2. It's a new game from Sony Computer Entertainment. It's on the PlayStation 5 and the PC. I've been playing the PC version on Steam. And what Helldivers 2 is it's think of the movie Starship Troopers. They basically copied that whole theme and humor and put it into a multiplayer shooter where you're basically like trying to work for the future of mankind. All these bugs have taken over all the not just the Earth, everywhere, and you're sent to different planets to eradicate these bugs. And it's got that funny sense of humor about it.
Okay.
So it's like a multiplayer shooter. You're dropped with it's teams of 4. You're not shooting each other ever. Like it's not like you against each other. It's you against the bugs on the planet, and you drop down. You can call in, because you've got you're working for the government. You can call down like airstrikes from above, and it's not just you with a gun. Basically, you can like call in a nuke to like take out a big bunker. It's full of like explosions, and it's really fun. I've played it a lot this week. The things that I really like about it is you can load the game up from it not being loaded at all to you actually playing a game in about 30 seconds, it makes me want to play it more because I don't have to wait,
What games do you have to wait on?
Fortnite, for instance, you have to wait about a minute and a half to load the game and then to wait in the queue and then get into a game finally. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it is when you're playing a few games. You're like waiting for 3 minutes every time. This, you're instantly in a game. So there's a lot of people playing it. It's called Helldivers 2. It's actually $39.99 instead of the full price nature of games these days. And I'm playing it on Steam. Cidtalk, what's for dinner?
Jersey Mike's.
And what is your advice? And let's get out of here.
My advice is, for once, it's sort of in line with the movie that we've just watched. And it is kind of advice. It's not me instructing you, but it sounds that way, the way I phrased it. So, in the world, in your life, don't be naive. There's always going to be assholes. You have no control over what people are taught or what experiences they have in the world. There will never be a time in all of human history when someone isn't a complete and utter asshole, the villain of a story. Bad, in the world, really bad.
Right.
There always has been. There always will be, right? So just learn how to be prepared to deal with them. Whatever that means in your society, wherever you are in your life, just be prepared. That doesn't excuse them. That means you can, put them in prison, take them out, teach them a lesson, whatever it takes, whatever the level of assholery is. Be prepared. Don't be unprepared, because they're going to be bad people. But also, just don't be one of them. I know that's hard to define, but just don't. You know when you're being an asshole. Like we all do.
Yeah.
Just don't.
I'm not.
Because if you are, then someone in the world is prepared to deal with you. So just keep that in mind.
Thank you very much. Well said.
Genius. I know, genius.
Ascully.com is the place you can go to get this podcast. You can also go Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Our social media, I am Ascully, she's Cidtalk. We're also on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, YouTube. I actually did a new thing on YouTube where there's chapters now for this podcast, so you can skip to your favourite part. Skip straight to Cidtalk's advice and ignore the rest of it. And you can also email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Don't email Cidtalk, she doesn't want your email. And stay classy, Mr. Jake Gyllenhaal, and your rippling muscles.
I'm going to say, think for yourself, or someone will do it for you.